Chairman Kramer, members of the committee, thank you for coming to Oxnard this week. It's been educational and informative. I'm Mike Stubblefield. I'm the Air Quality Chair of the Los Padres chapter of the Sierra Club. I've been working on power plant issues since the late 80s, and in the end, my side usually wins. I hope that turns out to be the case this time. We've heard the applicants raise on debt for why this project should be approved. I could not disagree more. I think it's time to get off fossil fuels. Natural gas is a fossil fuel. We know that we need to cut our use and our emission of fossil fuels if we're going to do anything about climate change. This is one of those opportunities where we make the wrong choice. We're stuck with that wrong choice for 10, 20 or more years. So I encourage you to make the right choice. You have an alternative, which we've discussed this week, which will be a lot healthier for the planet, for the people who live in South Oxnard, who, I should add, have been subjected to not one, not two, not three, but 4 power plants. No other power plant has ever been built anywhere in the Moore Park sub-area except a 2-mile stretch of beach in South Oxnard. Nobody else has ever had one, even though it goes from Moore Park to Santa Barbara. I wonder why that is. So I ask you to dig deep into your conscience and think not just about the dollars and cents. You have a clear-cut economic alternative that will be far cleaner than what's been put before you by, with all respect to these guys. I hope you'll make the right choice, and I encourage you to do so because we need to turn the corner, and I think we could set an example here in Oxnard that can be replicated all over the state as we phase out natural gas. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Shirley Godwin, please, followed by Gary Ross.
My name is Shirley Godwin, a resident of Oxnard. There's really not much left to say, because after many, many months of meetings here, hours and hours of testimony, and I've been here with you for many of them listening. I was listening today. It should be really a very easy decision for you. But there's no proven need for the Puente project. With technology improving so rapidly with renewables and storage, Puente will be obsolete by the time it is built. It will be a dinosaur on our beach. Thank you for coming here and hearing us.
Thank you. I have Gary Ross, followed by Charlie Cabral.
How long do I have? 3 minutes, huh? My name is Gary Ross from Oxnard. Also have a company called Highway here in town. Been a resident a many years, surfer. Enjoy the natural world, like as we all do here. The reason I'm up here today has one concern that maybe I haven't heard, and that's why I really want to get on the list here. Being that we love the harbor, also Channel Islands, we paddle our paddleboards in there, and my son paddles in there, and it's an amazingly clean harbor. And the reason for that is this has good circulation, and that's my opinion, but not only mine, but other engineers have talked about it. And it's astounding. I experience about every harbor up and down the Southern California coast, and I think this is, everyone would agree it's the cleanest one. So I'm hoping that there's some plan, wherever this goes, to keep it open and keep the circulation going. Now, my company is famous in certain areas of the market, and we love it here in Oxnard, but we do have, by coincidence, a plan with a wave energy design. So we're with both everybody here. We all want that. So we're working very hard. We're testing the scripts, but part of the components of our design actually pushes water shore that could help in it. So if there's anyone interested, wants to contact me about that, I'd be happy to talk about it. It's Gary Ross, and my company is Highway. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I have Charlie Cabral, please, followed by Lorraine Everest.
Well, I will officially say good evening, but for the record, my name is Cherie, not Charlie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm with the California State Building and Construction Trades Council and the Labor Management Trust, which represents both the employers and employees. So we represent the people that will be building Puente and the people, not only the workforce, but the companies themselves as well. And I wanted to make a couple of points. I've been up in front of a number of the hearings that have taken place up in Sacramento and here as well. And the first thing that comes to mind is the stress on making sure that this area has reliable power. I mean, right now, not only is reliability an issue, but the reliability is focused on technology that is old and does need to be replaced and is set to be phased out through the once-through cooling requirements, which means there needs to be something in place for this area. I would ask all of you to kind of look back at the calendar just in 2017 alone and look at what California has gone through. We have had a season of absolutely raging wildfires. We have had floods through the winter. We have had heat waves. All of these things affect our power grid in numerous ways. Solar panels can be burnt and melted. Things can be flooded. We have transmission weaknesses in certain ways that Puente is necessary in order to keep this particular area, which is a pocket, going. And I heard a panel member earlier reference the whole issue of, well, climate change and do we want to be reliant on Texas? I would ask all of you to look at Texas, look at Florida, look at the Caribbean. What happens when the power grid goes down? What happens to the people that are living there that don't have power? It's not just about whether you have heat. It's not just about whether or not you have air conditioning. It's about whether or not your traffic lights work, your street signals work, you have the ability to keep your hospitals running, your infrastructure for public safety continues to go. You need to have a reliable system in order to do that. And I think this whole notion that I'm hearing from some people of the cost be damned issue really is one that I think is irresponsible from a community standpoint. I mean, look behind me. You see all these people are people that live here in this community, and while some people have opinions on environmental justice and everybody here has an electricity bill. So while it's a really neat notion that, you know, screw it, who cares what it costs to build this really idea over here and put it out to RFP and let's do studies and defer this and defer that and see what fabulous little thing we can come up with. I didn't hear a single one of them offering to pay these people's electricity bill when the cost of a cutesy idea becomes their problem on their electricity bill. And for all these people, they're gonna not only be building the facility, but when all the speakers that are here leave, this is the community that is left to pay those bills and depend on the reliability. And it is our responsibility to make sure that the decision that is made for Puente is one that is responsible, and it is one that provides reliable power for this area. And yes, renewables are great, but we're not there yet, so we still need to be responsible in the bridge that we take in between. And Puente literally is that bridge while the renewables are developed.
Thank you. I have Lorraine Evers, followed by Nancy Michael.
Good evening. Thank you for coming back to Oxnard one more time. I'm glad we have a cooler room for you to operate in. I'm Lorraine Evers, 26-year resident of Oxnard. I've been at every single one of these hearings from the first time that we introduced a moratorium at the Oxnard City Council. And I said the same thing to NRG every single time. I researched you. You are a very forward-looking company. You have alternative energy all over the United States. Why did you bring us a fossil fuel gas plant? And the answer always comes back the same. Greed, 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 instead of green, green, green. You want to get into California ratepayers' pockets before the curtain comes down on fossil fuel. To the speaker before me, Cherie, and all the labor people here tonight, I have worked side by side with labor for the 26 years that I have lived here. We have been partners in one political campaign after another. I have read so many articles indicating there are way more jobs in green energy than they are in a dying industry like fossil fuel. These are the whip and buggy community, NRG. We want to be the automobile community of the turn of the 20th century. We are 1/5 of the way almost through the 21st century, and you would take us back 100 years. It is greed, 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 instead of green, green, green. We want to be part of the future. We want alternative energy. From what I understand about Cal ISO, and by the time this thing gets through the RFP process, etc., the cost will be way lower than what's estimated now. There is no reason that we cannot meet the needs. And furthermore, to the last speaker, I would say this plant is only a peaker. It would not be a sustained energy plant. It would not replace the grid in a situation like Hurricane Harvey. And a lot of the reason for the flooding had to do with the stupidity of the people and the way they built. And NRG wants to duplicate that. They want to bring us something stupid instead of something smart and modern. Greed, greed, greed. We want green, green, green. Thank you.
Followed by Tony Snyder.
Good afternoon or evening, Commissioners. My name is Nancy Lindholm. I'm the CEO of the Oxnard Chamber of Commerce. We represent nearly 500 businesses, and I'm here before you again to express our support of this much-needed project. The most important factor of this study is reliability. We need power that we can depend on, and I don't see how we can trust any of these unproven scenarios to fulfill our energy needs. I appreciate that the study looked at the feasibility of alternative energy, and I'm hopeful that in the next 20 years, technology will continue to advance to make alternative energy more reliable. However, our coastal community can't wait for technology to catch up. We need clean, affordable, and reliable energy by 2020, and Puente is the solution. I ask you tonight to consider our energy needs and approve the Puente Power Project. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Tony Snyder, followed by Lucas Zucker.
For the record, my last name is Skinner.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Good evening. My name is Tony Skinner, and I'm the Executive Secretary and Treasurer of the Tri-County Building and Construction Trades Council, as well as the President of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers in Ventura. And I'm here tonight to show our support for the construction of this project. Ventura County's construction industry has never recovered from the crash of 2008. Latest figures show we are still about 5,000 jobs down from our peak before the crash. This plant will provide a much-needed boost to our industry as well as businesses in the community, as it will be built with local labor under a project labor agreement between the building trades and NRG. It will also enable us, through our apprenticeship programs and our Helmets to Hard Hats program for veterans, to train the construction workforce of the future. This plant will supply a much-needed supply of reliable power to our county and act as a bridge as we move forward on the state's renewable energy goals. We are not adding a power plant. We are replacing a fossil with the newest state-of-the-art technology. I strongly urge the passing of the Puente Power Plant and let the most highly trained workforce build you a quality product. We're ready to go to work. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Commissioners and staff. My name is Lucas Zucker, Policy Director for CAUSE. We want to thank the California Energy Commission for authorizing the study on clean energy alternatives. Oxnard's past and present is full of struggle against environmental injustice, but this study shows that a better future is possible. The future isn't just for Oxnard, it's for all of us. These days it seems like half the country's on fire and the other half's underwater. We all know that at some point, we are going to have to stop doing the same stupid things over and over again, approving power plant after power plant, creating devastating climate change. As we speak, the California State Legislature is preparing to require 100% clean energy by 2045. Eventually, all of these power plants will need to be shut down and their smokestacks torn off our coastline, replaced with clean renewable energy, or our world faces ecological disaster. Even NRG acknowledges this. They call their project Puente. A bridge to the future we deserve, away from a past of pollution, climate destruction, and environmental racism. Just one more bridge to cross, they say. Just one more generation of kids growing up in Oxnard breathing their emissions. They say, and then they swear we'll be done. Of course, somebody selling you a $300 million bridge is always going to tell you we need a bridge. But your analysis shows that the better future with cleaner air and healthier families in Oxnard is already here if you want it. The analysis shows we already have the technology ready to provide this need. Not only does this independent analysis say we can meet our needs with clean energy instead for about the same price, that independent analysis uses old cost estimates from 2014. More accurate current prices show that the clean energy alternative would actually save ratepayers $32 million, as solar and battery storage costs are plummeting rapidly with technological advances. And I want to thank our union brothers and sisters for being here. We want you to build this clean energy. It's an interesting hearing for a lot of construction folks to come out, because I'm glad they can see that we're actually talking about a real viable alternative that will create just as many, if not more, jobs in clean energy than in building dirty energy. And either way, there's going to be construction jobs. So thanks for being here, and I hope we're able to get folks to work building the energy that we need, and the energy that's right for protecting the health of Oxnard and the communities we live in as well. So, you here at California Energy Commission, you know that the way we've done things in the past is wrong. You know it's wrong to keep burning fossil fuels as we face climate disaster. You know it's wrong to keep dumping all the power plants into the most disadvantaged communities. You know it's wrong to build energy infrastructure on the coast as the sea levels are rising. The only excuse to build the Puente project is the myth, the lie, that there's no better option. Now you have that better option in front of you. There is no excuse to keep polluting Oxnard. Clean energy now.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you again for taking the time to take public comments this evening. I know you have heard from me before in expressing my support for NRG and for this project. My name is Mark Spellman. I'm a longtime resident and homeowner of Ventura County. I work in downtown Oxnard with a minority-owned Spanish-language media company, Laser Broadcasting. I also serve as a director of the Oxnard Chamber of Commerce, the Oxnard Downtown Improvement District, and the Rotary Club of Oxnard. I'm here tonight to reiterate my support for the Puente Power Plant project and talk briefly about the CAISO study. I am concerned with the proposed alternatives that were presented in the CAISO study. This study did not look at cost as the main focus, but rather what resources can Ventura County get energy from. The proposed alternatives that were presented in this CAISO study will cost anywhere from $10 million to $817 million more than the Puente project. And these costs do not take into consideration ongoing operation and maintenance costs. The study concluded that the three proposed alternatives are too cost prohibitive and that the Puente project is the most affordable and reliable source of energy for our region. I think it is important that this study was done in order to look at these options that may be feasible, but the result is the same. The Puente Power Plant project is the best option to provide affordable, reliable, and increasingly cleaner power for our community. Oxnard needs this bridge project. Oxnard needs Puente. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Ruben here? Yes. He's making his way up. If you are in the audience and you'd like to make a comment and haven't yet filled out a blue card, you can get them from our public advisory unit. She's over there waving at you. You'll fill out the blue card. She'll bring them up to me, and that's how I know that you'd like to make a public comment. Please go ahead, Ruben.
Good afternoon. My name is Ruben, and we have been continuously fighting against the incorporation of the fourth power plant here in Oxnard. The CAISO study demonstrates a genuine possibility of alternate methods of energy that don't jeopardize our community and the residents and animals that reside here. We have witnessed that climate change is real with the catastrophic events that have taken place, such as hurricanes, earthquakes, and wildfires. We are requesting that you approach the environmentally safe option and implement clean energy that won't be detrimental to Oxnard. Because if technology advances, we should abandon power plants which will cease to be obsolete. Attempting to alleviate climate change starts here because an additional power plant has immense potential to harm the earth. So I ask you to respect our community because avoiding this power plant is avoiding solidifying climate change, which has already taken a huge toll on Earth. Clean energy now.
Thank you. I have Fatima Contreras, followed by Jeff Bolts.
Good evening. My name is Fatima Contreras and I'm a senior at Wainimi High School. My family and I have lived in Oxnard for 5,840 days. And for all y'all that don't know, that's 16 years. And I've grown up to seeing how environmental racism has reflected in our town, our community. Playing in the sand, having to see our beautiful beach shadowed by an asthma-producing power plant. I've always seen the power plant as if you're trying to take a picture and someone stands right in front of you and they won't move. We're lucky enough to live next to a beach to have a beautiful view, but yet we have to turn and see that. Studies have shown that in order for Oxnard to have a better future, we have to go green, and it's possible. It's possible now. The clean energy source will protect our health and environment. This is the moment to take this opportunity and to be the positive step for a better tomorrow. Clean energy now. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Jeff Bolts, followed by Charles McLaughlin.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Bodie. I'm the business manager for Local 952 and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. In Ventura County, we have over 400 members, and of those members, we have 85 men and women going through electrical apprenticeship program. We do not only train in power generation plants with fossil fuels, but we also believe in green energy. Solar and wind is a big part of our training aspect. That being said, these men and women that belong to our training facility, this is the only training facility locally located here in Ventura County. There is not another electrical apprenticeship program in our county. These opportunities that would be provided by this Puente power plant is invaluable. Not only does this just provide jobs, but it provides careers for men and women in this county. We believe in green energy. We'll be the first ones here speaking on behalf of the next plant that goes up, whether it's wind or solar. I encourage you to give the opportunity to these men and women going through this program, give them the opportunity to learn a career, support this power plant. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Charles McLaughlin, followed by Victor Cortez.
My name is Charles McLaughlin. I'm a resident of Oxnard, business owner, and I'm on the board of the Ventura Taxpayer Association. The Taxpayer Association has submitted a letter to the commission, so we'll have that. But in brief, the Taxpayers Association has a serious question on renewable energy, timing, cost, and availability, and at the same time, the economic impact that it will have or not have in Oxnard in general. We don't know if the proposed alternative could be online by 2020 in our region. Puente is the only project that will ensure regional reliability once Mandalay and Ormond are offline. According to your webpage, CEC, Energy Commission, the renewable energy goal for the year 2050 is 50%. At present, it stands at 29%. Within the next goal, 2020, it's supposed to be 33%. That's a very small increase in the next 2 years. We have to ask if that increase includes protecting our grid with reliable energy. And that's the serious question we have. If renewable sources won't meet the energy requirements by 2020, an NRG permit is denied or not approved, Oxnard will lose on 2 cases, both energy reliability and it will also lose on a major economic gain. The Ventura County Taxpayers Association is not a gambling association, but one that will lean towards the sure thing. We believe approving this permit is the safest way to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have Victor Cortez, followed by Jose Lopez.
Good afternoon. My name is Victor Cortez. I'm a senior at Wainimi High School. I just want to tell you, the CEC, to invest in Oxnard. The Kaiser report proved that renewable sources could provide reliable energy for Oxnard. Though a study in 2014 said that these alternatives would be more expensive, clean energy experts are now saying clean energy alternatives would be cheaper. This power plant would be outdated by the time it is built, so don't make the wrong choice. Oxnard has already been the recipient of so many bad choices, and Oxnard deserves a brighter future, and that could be reached with renewable sources, renewable energy. Clean energy now.
Thank you. I have Jose Lopez, followed by Lily Mello.
Thank you, CC, for allowing us to speak today. My name is Jose Lopez. I represent IPW, the Electrical Workers Union. I just want to show that, I've been living here in Oxnard for 37, 38 years, and I have my family here. I support this. We need to have more work here, keep more guys more busy, and keep them working, be able to provide for their families. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Lily Mello, followed by Rosalinda Flores.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lily Bayo, and I'm a senior at Wainimi High School. It's an honor to speak in front of you today in the CEC. I wanted to start off by saying I love bridges. Bridges symbolize a lot of things, like the promise of adventure and the future. But I don't appreciate bridges who are going to close the gap between Oxnard being in the 90th percentile of asthma concentration to the 100th percentile of asthma concentration. I'm not somebody who works in Oxnard but lives in Ventura. I'm somebody who lives in Oxnard and spends their entire day here. And I have asthma, and I've missed out on so much of my childhood because I could not breathe. And I just recently found out that power plants cause asthma. So yeah, it's not something that is just, a cutesy idea. It's something that's a reality, and if there's a reason that we're fighting it. We're not trying to be cute, we're not trying to be hip, it affects us. So the construction of these renewable power plants with green energy, there will still be jobs constructing them. I realize that there's a cost, but the cost of my life, I think, should be a little bit more important than the cost coming from a billionaire's pocket. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rosalinda Flores, and I'm a junior at Wainimi High School. Statistics have showed that having a green environment is possible. So I ask you, CEC, if you were to live in Oxnard and your family or your kids were to have asthma, and wouldn't you want a green environment and a good health for your family? And it's possible to have a green environment by using green energy and having Oxnard a power plant free zone. Green energy now.
Thank you. Tom Katie, followed by Raina Collier.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Tom Katie, and I am a 45-year resident of the city of Oxnard and a retired assistant police chief. And I'd like to I testified before you before, and I want to just reiterate a few points on this. I've seen firsthand what happens when we lose power in the community. There are significant public safety concerns, and I would say right now we can look across our country and see in Texas and Florida and the Caribbean what happens when large regions lose power. And it's not just an inconvenience, it's a public safety matter, and in some cases it results in tragic results. So I think this is a reasonable and responsible response to the needs in this area. In the case of a regional disaster, and we've seen fires, we've seen floods, and we know there's chances for earthquakes, that having our ability to get our power up and running is going to be critical. And I think in the case of the hurricanes, they had the ability to pre-position resources. In the cases I just mentioned, we won't have those. And so we're going to be calling on people in instance to respond, and realistically, a lot of that response is going to be in the major metropolitan areas, and I believe in more rural areas you're going to have significant adverse impacts. And those are going to impact people who are elderly. It's going to impact adversely people who have lower socioeconomic means, because other people, they don't have the resources to take care of themselves. So you as a commission have a responsibility to fulfill the needs of our community. Maybe at some point the reliable energy and alternative fuels will be available and will work, but right now you have to deal with what you know, and what you know is going to work. And I think that's got to be the primary consideration of this commission. And I feel for our first responders in other areas of this country in terms of what they're dealing with right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Followed by Rafael Escobedo.
Good evening. My name is Reina. I'm here with CODS, and I'm also a lifelong resident of Oxnard. And I'm here to express my thoughts on the plant and the alternatives brought about in the recent study. As for the health and well-being of our community, this alternate plan is an absolute must. Our fight against the terrible fossil fuel plants has gone on for a long time. Now we have a potential solution, and it's in your hands. Please make the right choice, which is clean energy for Oxnard. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Rafael Escobedo, followed by Michael Wynn Song.
Good evening, California Coastal Commission and everybody attending today's important meeting concerning the Punta Power Plant and Mandalay with Energy. I'm here to support this project. I'm a lifetime resident of Oxnard, California, and a homeowner. I'm a member of Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 484 Union in Ventura. I have 20 years experience in the plumbing and pipe fitting industry. I urge you to please move forward with the permit process and construction of the Puente Power Plant. Please approve this project. Let's get rid of the old and outdated power plant that is currently in use. Let's build a modern and more efficient power plant. This new power plant is going to give electricity to businesses and residents of Oxnard. It's not difficult to decide. We need a modern and more efficient power plant to supply our electrical needs. Also, this project is going to create good paying jobs with benefits for our union labor of Ventura County. Let's put our professionals, our hardworking professionals to work. This is going to benefit Oxnard because work here, spend here. In return, it's going to stimulate our economy. Please make this a 100% union labor project. Let's give our members an opportunity to work here at home, because most of the time they have to travel, and that is not fair. These people are citizens of the United States and are high school graduates, and some are college graduates, and they complete an apprenticeship program in the building trades. Once again, I urge you, California Coastal Commission and the City of Oxnard, please build this power plant. We need a modern and more efficient power plant to supply our electrical needs. Thank you, Rafael Escobedo.
Good
evening, Commissioners. My name is Michael Wynn Song. I'm the Senior Executive VP for Globus America, located on the Navy base here in Fort Miami. We currently employ approximately 300 employees here. I'm also one of the directors for Cordis, a business alliance of port-related businesses here, who collectively employ approximately 3,000 employees here. I've spoken before this commission before to express my support for the need of Puente. It is fine that the Horacio study was done to consider the alternative options to provide power in our region. That being said, I am not surprised to learn that Puente is still the best option to provide affordable and reliable power to our region. Puente has already been identified as the project that best meets local reliability and protects the interests of ratepayers in a thorough review process by the CPUC. I ask, once again, that you approve this project, a truly needed bridge. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Richard Neff today.
My name is Amelie Lagila, and I'm here with some of the youth from CAUSE, and we have felt really strongly about opposing this power plant for years now, and we would like to express our concerns and our views through song. You can just give a smile, and I'll...
Now this is a story all about how our community got turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute to sit right there and tell you how our city lost our fresh air. In Oxnard, California, born and raised on the beaches is where I spent most of my days, chilling out back and relaxing on pool and chilling at beaches outside of school when a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in the neighborhood. We got one more sort of energy upstairs, and our beaches and dumping grounds start, we don't care. We begged and pleaded with you to have a say that you ignored our voices and sent us all away. That didn't stop us, no way, no how. So we went to the Capitol, represented our town. We came back, shut it down. Now we're back. We roll back down. So do grenade now.
Thank you. I have Dr. Richard Demay, followed by Timmy Merrill. And while he's making his way up, I'll just, as a reminder, if you're new in the audience and you'd like to make a comment, just fill out a blue card. You can get them over there from Eunice on the right-hand side. She's waving at you, and she'll bring them up to me. That's how I know you'd like to make a public comment. Dr. Demay, please go ahead.
Hello again. Once again, my name is Dr. Richard Bay. I'm here as a member of Democratic Socialists of America, Ventura County chapter. We're here again, and after the release of the CAISO study, it really appears that alternatives exist. They're feasible. We can do it. We're really at the end of the rational, sensible, logical, practical arguments in this discussion. We still see that Puente is unnecessary. And if all of those arguments aren't enough, anyone who has watched the news in the last couple of weeks knows that it's stupid to put critical infrastructure on a coastline. Right? If a hurricane comes, or more likely a tsunami, or a storm surge comes, that plant is gone, and it's not if, it's when. And so, continuing to have this discussion it's ridiculous, right? Would you rather have a power plant on a coastline or batteries in the hills? That seems to make a whole lot more sense. If you're concerned about feasibility in terms of timelines, if you think we've been a pain in the neck here, just imagine how we would be if the County Planning Commission was holding up permits for battery storage and increased solar. Right? This fight doesn't end here. It continues as long as it has to. So we can make sure that
any alternative project can get built by 2020. This isn't really a fight about policy issues anymore, is it? This is a fight between people who have a voice and have power and money. It's a fight against a horrendous, ruinous freight train of fossil capitalism that plows its way through communities it thinks doesn't have a voice. And we have been here time and time again telling you that we do have a voice, we do have power, and this project will not happen. No community should be sacrificed for corporate profits. Oxnard will not continue to be sacrificed for corporate profits and for dirty energy. This fight ends here, whether energy likes it or not. This is the front line, this is the battleground for stopping this ridiculous process that we have of okaying dirty energy and then dealing with the consequences later. No, a better alternative is possible. And it's time to say that we value people's lives more than we value corporate profits. Clean Air for Oxnard.
Followed by Martin Rodriguez.
Good evening, Commissioners. Puente has been positioned as the not as bad power plant, but it's a bad power plant. We've got renewables coming along. We've got environmental degradation here already. We need to fix it. We've got health damage. We need to fix it. Putting up a power plant that's not as bad as the existing power plant isn't a solution. Renewables are a solution. Good jobs to build those renewables is a solution. Taking care of the health of our community is a solution. Puente is being pitched as a bridge. You've probably heard enough bridge analogies to last for a while. But it is a 30-year bridge for a 5-year problem. It's the bridge to nowhere. Please do not approve Puente.
Thank you. Martin Rodriguez, followed by Diego Juarez.
Good evening. I'm Martin Rodriguez. I'm business agent for the Ironworkers, Local 433. And President of Tri-County Building Trades. That being said, I support this project, and I can tell you what, I really take my hat off to these young people here. I'm going to start recruiting all my labor activists from the high school because it's very evident that they're very impressionable and led very easily. I have not seen any one of them fighting a good fight for wages, pushing a good paying project through the city council or the planning commission or any of the other entities that we deal with, but I take my hats off because they're on the right road for political activism. And it doesn't pay very good, but hey, that's where I'm gonna start recruiting. We build the solar plants. I'm building one right now up north. I just came from there, and I can tell you what, even the engineers that I'm working with to build this project, which is gonna help subsidize this project right here, it's going to have issues. All of them have issues. You have a major earthquake. These things have not survived one yet, okay? The technology is improving on all of these things, but it's not a proven thing. The battery, we're going to build those also. That's what the building trades do. We build infrastructure, but you're going to have to have a combination of fossil fuel and clean energy. And the person that spoke also about clean energy is going to provide all these good paying jobs. The fallacy, they don't know not what they speak. I do. I'm in this industry. So, that being said, I am in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. The last name to talk is, don't worry, it's happened forever. Good evening. It's good to see all of you again in our city. And I understand, I didn't count, but my wife did. This is the 4th time we've been here. And so you've heard all the pros and cons, I believe. I've been here for, I don't know how many people can beat me with this one, I've been here for over 70 years. And we were living in South Oxnard and for a long time, and my brother did get asthma, and there were no power plants there. I don't know what to say about that. But during my time as a coach, I was a teacher coach for 31.22 years. That's what my retirement says. And I was a high school board member for 12 years. I actually advocated and testified for cause on a case many years ago, and I thought they were right, and I spoke for them. Now I've looked at this project up and down, and I've come to the conclusion that it's a project that you should support. I looked at the applicant has met every concern of the opposition. All concerns have been mitigated and approved, as I think that the pollution issue will be down. That's what everybody was first start talking about. We have beautiful air here. We have good water here. It could be improved. The old energy building that everybody talks about back there to get rid of is part of this applicant's presentation. If they don't move it, it'll be there forever. The water quality in the canal will be improved. They were talking about that. But the project, this Puente project, helps the city of Oxnard, it helps the county of Ventura, and it helps part of Los Angeles. And they're talking about the alternative places to put things. We have a SOAR initiative, and some of the oppositions were headliners on the SOAR initiative. Where are you going to put these things on empty spaces where we have a SOAR initiative? I believe that the people, and one big thing, see the people behind us with the hats and everything? This project brings jobs that pays the bills. You're looking at it. They're the ones that pay the bills. Me too, I used to, but I don't anymore. The project will also bring us $7 million into the city. We need that money. I just think that after a while, the opposition will end up liking this too. So thank you, and I hope you support this project.
My name is Luban Piano, and I want to confess that I am surprised, I am very, very surprised that we are having this meeting today. I'm surprised because since 2005, I have been part of a large group in Oxnard who have been seeking the right to take possession of our own land, to make decisions about where we live, to make decisions about old industrial crippling infrastructure in the plants that we have now. And so I am surprised. I am 88 years of age. I have lived in California since I was third grade. And I have been lucky, blessed to see California be on the moving line of a visionary of clean, healthy projects. We have an agricultural industry which Latinos, Mexicans have enriched California, and I have been one of those persons. Now, fossil fuels is contaminating our water and killing our agricultural industry. If you don't believe that, go to Bakersfield and see what has happened. Now, I think the people that need to be speaking here are people from Oxnard, because we have been living here. And we are the ones that are suffering from asthma. At night, there's flares. The air, when it comes from the west, hits my window, and even if I close it, we don't have any air condition, and so breathing is very hard for us. I think that my niece purchased solar from Solar City. Her bill went from $300 a month to $79 a month. And I am just amazed that California and the Energy Commission has held us back. Why are you keeping California back? Why are we selling our good jobs, our clean energy to Germany, to China, to other places? We do not need this plant. We do not need this plant. We do not need this plant. But everyone knows that. And so why are we arguing? And why, with all due respect, are you here when you know this? Thank you very much.
Many thanks to the Commission for your patient and well-informed attention to us this evening after a long day. Many people have spoken to you today encouraging approval of Puente and represent the interests among the oil industry and related industries and people empowered by profit. Historically, petroleum interests get very high status and are they're not used to being at the back, really. Pro-planet people, to rebut a lady earlier, are not motivated by cost be damned. The Gulf of Mexico water is 7.5 degrees above average and holds moisture directly overhead, so that when a hurricane came, it rained 50 inches. Climate is a consideration besides cost, a very important consideration. We have in the room here tonight a very intelligent workforce who provide reliability and sustainability for whatever we are building. Let's build smart. It is not appropriate that they be duped into thinking that Puente is modern. It is antiquated. This is not a usual, not in my backyard comment. I'm Vicki Paul from Montalvo in Ventura. We do not have reasonable information from NRG or Edison. Old studies, obsolete math on generic properties pretend to be viable when in fact they are pressuring the people of Oxnard to shoulder all the risk, the environmental damage, the assault on public health, and the community blight so that people up the grid can run their air conditioning and be comfortable running their businesses in major emergencies. The residents of Oxnard don't get home to go to air conditioning, but make dinner in a city park where there's a breeze that does not exist in their homes. Some of us turn privileges into rights and demand that the disenfranchised do all the sacrificing. Please, put the Puente where the air conditioners are and the big appliances are, not in Oxnard. When you consider the NRG application, please acknowledge the abuse of false assumptions. The people who work in the fields are not the people who should shoulder all the risks. If some people want forced air, they need not flaunt their distance from Oxnard, excuse me, and have the buildings down here. The footprint of Puente would last 20 to 30 years and probably exist when fees on carbon emission get established. Is that in the budget? Thank you again for your kind attention. We really appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Followed by Sean Porowski. Is Rudy here? Okay, how about Sean Porowski? No Sean either? All right, then we'll have, oh, I'm sorry, I see you coming.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this issue. My name is Sean Porowski. I'm the Policy Director for Ventura County Coalition of Labor, Agriculture, and Business. As we have testified before, our primary concern here is regional energy security. That's critical for our homes here in Oxnard and our businesses and all through the West County. A reliable source of power should be a priority for this region. When considering the alternatives before you, we believe any solution should include protection for ratepayers, demolition of existing power plants, and cost and environmental impacts of competing options. These considerations give us great concern for the proposals being discussed here today. Some of the alternatives being considered far exceed the cost of the Puente project. All of them would require this process to start over from the beginning, a process that has already taken several years, with hard deadlines coming in 2020 that need to be met. In addition, we need to be mindful of the consequences of abandoning the Puente project and what it means for the demolition of the existing power plants. We do not want to repeat the experience in Monterey and be faced with aging and mothballed plants as a permanent fixture of our coastline. We hope you'll keep all of this in mind when deciding the proper path forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have Kevin Ward, followed by David Nix.
Good evening, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with you. Must be a familiar name. Much has happened since the last time we got together with this, and we spoke publicly. I kind of sound like doom and gloom talking about Antarctica and stuff like that, but you know, Antarctica's ice shelf did shear off since we were last together, and the passage in the Arctic now is traversable with a ship for the first time. And there were fires all over the West Coast, and there was a couple of other things. Oh yeah, Houston and Florida. And I was amazed to hear tonight that the solution for the Puente power plant and fossil fuels in general sounds like it could be the resolution of global warming. To hear some people make it sound like all we need to do is keep pumping that gas and it's going to get a lot better for us all. Well, Oxnard is a unique place, as I've mentioned many times before. It has the Channel Islands here. It has a great alluvial plain where you can grow virtually anything here in the plain. It has a diverse and interesting cultural mix of people. And we are lowlanders. We're sitting here subject to possibly the same problems that Florida or Houston would have if, I don't know, something goes wrong with the weather. And I guess the other issue that all these guys with the hard hats and shiny ones at that are interested in are jobs. But the prospectus I read was that there was at most 80 jobs being offered, which to me doesn't look to me as a comparable savings when solar could offer many, many more, as well as the restoration of Oxnard as a sanctuary. And this is what I'd like to use the last few seconds to talk about. Let's abandon this old world thinking. Let's forget about this. I mean, this is 1972 we had the ability to use solar panels. Come on, you remember Reagan? Some of you do. Ripped them off the White House. It was bad news, and Exxon, as we know, made sure that we were kept more or less in the dark, although some of us were aware of it. So let's talk about Oxnard as being a reclamation study. Let's get rid of that power plant. Get rid of it, take it down like it was never there. And if Puente or the NRG people really want to serve this community, they give us a leg up with the solar panels they've done in other areas, and forget about being this an easy community to wash over. I thank you very much, and I hope that you use the most current information, weather-wise possible, to make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is David Nix. I'm the business rep for the Heat, Frosted Sweaters and Allied Workers, Local 5, Los Angeles. We cover all of Southern California. But I'm not here to talk about jobs tonight. I'm here to talk about power needs and things that are coming up in the near future. Like in 2024, they're going to shut down Unit 1 of Diablo Canyon. 2025, they're going to shut down Unit 2. That means that we're going to lose 2,400 megawatts of electricity by the year 2025. Now, I don't know how many people can remember back in, I believe it was 1983, we had a 5-state blackout because there was a power transformer that failed up in just north of the Oregon border. And so 5 states were without electricity for quite a while. And now I'm going back to like 1994 when we had the Northridge earthquake. I just happened to be at LAX when that happened. And when the earth stopped moving, I walked outside and Los Angeles was black. There was not a light anywhere that you could see in any direction. Come to find out, by the time they got the power up, the whole Los Angeles basin lost power. And the only way they were able to get it back up was with the Valley Steam Plant, which had black start capabilities. It takes electricity to make electricity. If you don't have black start capability with this, which this plant will have, if your grid does collapse, you won't be able to get it back up. So these things in mind, you know, the power loss that we have coming in the near future and black start capabilities, and batteries will only last so long. I've heard a lot about battery storage and all that kind of stuff. Kind of remember what happened in Japan when Fukushima had a meltdown. The tidal wave that knocked out the diesel generators that were feeding cooling water pumps that pump about 60,000 gallons of water a minute into the reactor. So by the time that the tsunami hit, it knocked out the diesel generators, and so the battery picked up running the reactor cooling pumps. Well, the batteries only last so long, so when the batteries went dead, the reactor cooling pumps start running again, and then you got a nuclear meltdown. So I'm not saying Diablo Canyon's in danger of a nuclear meltdown because their lowest elevation is 85 feet, which I believe is pretty safe from tsunami. But at that rate, that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Cameron, and followed by Deborah Carter.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Cameron Gray, speaking on behalf of Community Environmental Council. Our nonprofit incubates and accelerates solutions to climate change that build more prosperous economies, improve the public health of communities, and ultimately make the world a more vibrant place. The Puente Power Project will achieve none of these goals, as I stated in the last hearing. So our position is that your commission should deny NRG's application and begin a new process, prioritizing clean energy solutions that can supplant the need for both the Puente and Elwood peaker plants. The CalISO study has shown that this is feasible, and subsequent analysis by the Clean Coalition has shown that it's affordable, that it is actually more cost-effective than the Puente Power Project. Paired solar and storage is not a gamble. These are proven technologies. We have projects in Irvine, California, at Alisos Canyon that have shown that these technologies can be deployed today and they create jobs. So that's really the opportunity here, and it's something that I want to highlight. Jobs and improved environmental quality for this region are not mutually exclusive. We can create both together now. So we're standing at a crossroads. One of those paths is going to lead us down a path that's business as usual. It won't address the legacy of environmental justice that's been affecting this community, and it will construct a power plant that's likely to be obsolete before it's even finished being built. It'll also lead to jobs that are temporary. But we have another option. We can take the path that leads to a clean energy future. And it's an opportunity to do something groundbreaking. we can put Oxnard on the map and put it at the forefront of a clean energy revolution. I'm talking about workforce development programs and education programs that can set people up for jobs in the clean energy economy. At the same time, we can end the legacy of environmental justice that this community has borne for far too long. So what I'm really talking about is practicing a sword of alchemy, where we can take the lead of the past and turn it into a gold for the future. I hope that you choose the path that leads to the clean energy outcomes that we need for this region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deborah Baber. I appreciate the opportunity this evening to speak to you. I moved here full-time 3 years ago. I live in Port Hueneme, which is bounded on 3 sides by Oxnard. The 4th side, of course, is the ocean. I support the Puente project. I lived in Manhattan, New York for nearly 30 years. While there, I experienced a number of significant energy challenges during that period. My final 3 years in New York City, I worked for the Environmental Defense Fund, EDF. One project I was involved in, exposed me to a number of commercial energy conservation and management companies and their ideas and the problems they were trying to solve regarding energy. I moved here. I've been really surprised at the opposition this project has had. It's everything I've read about it and all the study that I've done on it clearly indicates that this company has more than met the extensive requirements for their application. They have met every need to mediate concerns about the environment. They've considered geographic and population concerns. And most importantly, their project sure looks like it's going to solve the problem of our area's energy needs in the 21st century. I urge you to support this project. They were selected to help meet our future needs, as mandated by the state. Reliable, abundant energy equals job growth and good times for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Followed by, it just says Garza student.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Tim Redondo, and I thank you for letting me speak this evening. I'm a 41-year resident of Ventura County and currently live in Camarillo with my family of 4. I represent as business agent and organizer over 370 UA Local 484 plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and apprentices in Ventura County who support this project moving forward, as it will incorporate the latest technologies to help integrate renewable energy supplies. Again, Local 484 and the building trade, they're all about renewables. It needs to continue like it's going and even move at a faster track. Puente, it will use state-of-the-art technology that is above the standard for emission controls. Ensure the Ventura region has a reliable supply of local energy generation. The Puente Power Project will act as a peaking unit, keyword peaking, needed online during peak demand. That's the big one, peak. That can provide power during critical needed times across Southern California. The project and its related construction will also mean increased benefits to the Oxnard community through increased tax gains of $2+ million a year for over 30 years. Vendors, suppliers, contractors, and subcontractors will also benefit from additional revenue. This project will support good-paying, local higher building trades construction jobs and help bring home local construction workers who have had to take employment out of town or out of state, and in worst case, unemployed. So it really hurts me when somebody says it's only 80 or 100 jobs. It's more than that. But explain to these individuals how they make their mortgage, how they put food on the table, whether it's 80 jobs or 100 or 120 or it's 1. So I would really like to know how that works out. Growth in Ventura County continues at an alarming rate. The freeways are congested. Residential projects keep getting built. They're planning on building the Port of Hueneme out and expanding the Port of Hueneme. Where's the power coming from? They're talking about building a 15-story high-rise in Oxnard with the other 2 high-rises. Where's that power coming from? I believe also that Port Hueneme and Magoo, the bases, rely on this energy if there's a national crisis. What are we going to do? We can't rely on solar at night. We can't rely on wind when it's not blowing. We don't get solar when it's cloudy and rainy. We need to be diversified in power. Puente is that bridge. If it's not needed, most likely it won't run, but it'll be there if we need it in an urgent matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Jonathan Garza, and I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I've been listening. I've been noticing a theme of we have to decide between jobs and green energy when really Oxnard really has a huge opportunity here to really advance the future of Oxnard. I mean, this technology is dead. I mean, China is out competing us, the rest of the country is out competing us. We've mentioned Texas and Florida, and yet Texas and Florida are out competing California in green technology. It just seems odious to me that we're spending this time and money on outdated technology, period. And these are legitimate concerns about the community here between jobs and the need to keep the lights on. But we have a huge opportunity here for Oxnard to really push the future and to really come into the 21st century instead of going back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Bruce Markovich. I've been a resident here on the Oxnard Plain since 1993, and I'm a homeowner here in Oxnard since 1996. And I would just like to focus attention on 2 issues. And this is kind of the way I see it as average citizen, Joe average homeowner. I really urge the commissioners to consider why would you be seriously considering siting any large industrial complex in the coastal zone at this point in history, our technological history, our cultural history, and more specifically, why would you be considering siting an air pollution generating facility upwind of several million Southern Californians who have to breathe the effluent from these types of installations day in and day out. So I would just suggest that for these 2 reasons, the main reason really being what should or shouldn't be in the coastal zone. I've been here long enough to see the chance for the possibility of Ormond Beach and Mandalay Bay coming down and being removed out of the coastal zone. I think that's great. I applaud that. I believe it will happen someday. But allowing another installation to be put in place of Mandalay Bay, to me it just doesn't pass the common sense test. And you really should not let anything go into anywhere that is upwind of millions of residents. There are many other places that power generating stations could be sited that would not be upwind of Southern California residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Houston, followed by Helen Conley.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Chris Houston. I'm a 30-year resident of Ventura County, living in Camarillo, where I was also born and raised. I'm also a business representative for IBW Local 952, and in that capacity, as a business representative, I go visit job sites all over Ventura County, including in Oxnard. And I can tell you right now, the majority of the people that I speak to do not live in this county. And because of that, there's actually a lot of building trades members that are actually having to go travel out of town, out of state, and basically work away from their families to be able to make a livable wage. A project like this could actually bring these families back together because it's already going to have local hire. So because of that, I support this energy power plant project. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Helen Conley, followed by
you very much, Commissioners, for being here and for sitting through all of this testimony. It's important to us, and we do so appreciate it. My name is Helen Conley. I do not live in Oxnard, but I am here representing a nonprofit organization which is called Citizens for Responsible Oil and Gas. We're a watchdog organization. We review permits in the county, and we work with our legislators and our county officials. We are here to support the citizens of Oxnard. Recently, we have spoken to over 1,900 homeowners in the area of Oxnard, close to a project which is being proposed near Highway 1. Of those 1,900 homes that were visited, 98% of those people, and many of them are just Spanish-speaking households, are in favor of pulling back on the kind of pollution that NRG would bring to the community and the oil and gas industry proposed project there. So I offer that to you. I also offer to you that I understand that you need to consider the new law that CEQA has implemented, environmental justice law. And I'd just like to read a sentence about that, because that will gird your decision-making process here, and we respect that highly. The new provision provides several examples of specific provisions of CEQA and its guidelines that the Attorney General asserts require local lead agencies, that would be you, I believe, to consider how the environmental and public health burdens of a project might specifically affect certain communities. And I think you've heard much testimony here today, plus you have documentation in hand. Specifically, the report says the project may be considered and notes that a project that is ordinarily insignificant in one setting may be significant in another. The report also cites the requirement that agencies assess the cumulative impacts of a project by examining the project's effect in connection to probable future projects and alternative mitigation analysis. And it recognizes that this could be a hard decision to make, but this is the new law. I also understand that there, and unfortunately I neglect to look up the California law that will come into effect in 2020, making it very important for these projects to come through this process before that time, because they will not be able to after that. I think you all understand that. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Dan Smith, followed by Leslie Purcell.
Good evening, and thank you for hearing me. My name is Dan Smith. I'm the Vice President of the Electrical Workers in Ventura County. I support the Puente Power Plant. I think it'll bring some good jobs. I also support renewable energy. But what we need to focus on is reliable energy now. Green technology is still in its infancy. It's still toxic. It creates a market for conflict minerals. There are a lot of really smart people working hard to create greener solutions, but while they're working hard, we still need to keep the lights on. Today I read a Berkeley study. They discovered that solar panels generate 300 times more toxic waste per watt than nuclear power. Manufacturing these panels requires caustic chemicals such as sodium hydroxide and hydrofluoric acid. This process also emits a lot of greenhouse gases. And sure, it's in China, but as an advocate for global climate change, I feel we have a long way to go. This is why I don't think solar is quite viable yet on a large scale. When we don't have sun or wind, we need batteries. Batteries are an inefficient and toxic solution to storage. Lead acid is toxic, and lithium ion is toxic, as well as being a conflict mineral. We have a long way to go before we can call batteries green. I would love nothing more than to see 100% renewable energy. We aren't there yet. And when we are, I will stand up and fight for it. Lastly, I'd like to say I'm very proud of the young people here. I think you guys have passion, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. Leslie Purcell, followed by Gabriella Velasquez.
Brought my friend. You are my sunshine. I would like to, I was here most of the day. I heard a lot of this testimony. It was a little much for the lay person, but very interesting. And, you know, my tendency is to feel like there was enough evidence presented that the alternative energy sources are viable and are reasonable and should be seriously considered, and that we really don't need another natural gas power plant. And I personally think, you know, you look around, there are so many municipal buildings, warehouses, parking lots, there are so many opportunities for solar. And Patagonia has had solar panels over their parking lot in Ventura for years. It's, I just believe that there could be so much done that would be beneficial, as opposed to citing a new natural gas power plant, which is really going to be passé. In Germany, they've had solar for years. They have way less sun, and it's a viable solution. So please consider this. We had testimony from the Tesla representative about how much more efficient and possible it is to use the new batteries, that there's so much going on right now. I think Oxnard and Ventura County should be on the forefront, the cutting edge. There will be green jobs as well, and I think that the city of Oxnard representative said that this is actually not really a brownfield. It's been designated as a wetland, the area where the current power plant is, at least in part. And a lot of us would like to see that restoration occur in the future and restore the beach, restore the wetlands, and restore more healthy air for this area. I know at some points it's been a non-attainment area, I believe, according to the Air Resources Board. So other than that, I just want to say I was here some years back when there was a huge LNG facility proposed offshore here. It was a similar hearing, but it was the State Lands Commission. It went on all day and into the evening. And the company presented the necessity for having this LNG brought from Australia. It was right before we developed a lot of natural gas here in the US. That project was turned down, and thank goodness, because it would have been totally obsolete as soon as it was built and would have had huge environmental consequences. So I'd like you to just consider that also. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Gabriella Velasquez, followed by Dan Adams.
Did you mean Valencia?
No, it's Velasquez.
I think I wrote it wrong. Sorry.
Oh. So Gabriella Valencia, please come on up then.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I find it personally insulting that NRD would employ such a cheap tactic to garner support for the construction of this unnecessary fourth power plant. This is the same unethical tactic this is the same tactic employed by our current administration to slash regulation and desecrate our national parks. I'm so sorry. And deplete our natural resources. Here in Oxnard, we arm ourselves with facts and information because the truth and facts do matter regardless of what our president says. We know and you know that power plants are unsustainable. If y'all care so much about job creation and investment, create jobs in an industry that has a future, the industry of renewable energy.
Diversify job creation. After all, not everyone in Oxnard, not all of our youth want to work in a power plant. To the people that believe that private business cares about raising minimum wage, you're lying to yourselves. If you believe that there's some guarantee that NRG will employ the people of Oxnard, you're also lying to yourselves. It is not in their best interest, so don't expect them to fight for you. This is my city, and the people of my city will not sit quietly while you poison our land and air. Believe me when I say we're not going down without a fight. Clean air for Oxnard.
Clean air. Followed by Woodrow Davidson. We have Dan Adams here. Okay, how about Woodrow Davidson, and he would be followed by Eric Estrada.
Hi, my name is Woodrow. I'm a student over from UCSB, and you guys might be wondering why am I here? Well, in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I think one of the key things that we've really touched upon is this issue of jobs versus the environment versus our health. And those are things that, as you all are members of executing public policy, need to take into account of all factors. And so that there's balance. And in fact, balance lends more towards the environment because jobs come and go every day, every year. The degradation of our environment and the degradation of people's health, those things can't be reversed. People who have asthma and have to deal with the pollutants in the air, they can't undo those kinds of things. And the fact that is this the best thing that they could have crafted and put forward? And the answer is it isn't. And there's obviously plenty of other alternatives. A very well-dressed gentleman just came up like an hour ago and said that it would cost anywhere between $10 million to $810 million, to which I'd ask, well, how much is our future worth to y'all? You know, can you put a price on that? For people to come up here and say that, well, one of these young social activists, they're not on the right path of history, and they're going to not make as much money because that's the one thing I care about. And when you have those kinds of people out there and trying to demean what we're doing, I mean, you see people out here; these people who are directly affected by what's happening. And for us to just kind of sit by and say, we'll just let this happen. It seems like the best thing to do. That's not the right answer. There is a better solution to all of this. It hasn't been found yet, and that's what I definitely can say. And as members who are involved in executing public policy to better the lives of people, not worsen them, I think y'all have an obligation to turn down this plan and advocate for a better one. Thanks.
Eric Estrada, followed by Justin Decker. Is Eric here? Okay, how about Justin Decker? And then Justin would be followed by Steve Earhart.
Hi, my name is Justin Decker. I'm glad you could all allow us the opportunity to advocate for the desires of this community. It's a community that has utilized its voice to overwhelmingly reject new fossil fuel-based plants within their homes. A community whose municipal representatives have historically rejected proposals like this consistently, vocally, and repeatedly. A community that at this moment faces a damaging and harmful existential threat to their physical well-being and safety. We, as residents of the Central Coast and as Californians, must recognize our position as the most powerful bastion of progressive voices in this nation. Because of this, it is our responsibility to defend and uplift marginalized communities and to set an example for the rest of the country gripped by insidious right-wing populism. California must lead the way. Advocates for this project may attempt to cloud your judgment by appeals to economic cost and how this gas-fired plant is our only viable hope. They, like a previous speaker did, may insult our fight and our social activism that stands in solidarity with labor, with people of color, with all folks everywhere who face oppression. An injury to one, and it's injury to all. And though we may face ridicule and vicious hate, we stand together. They rely on cost estimates that do not reflect the current state of renewable energy, which becomes more efficient and viable every single day. Renewable energy is making leaps and bounds despite a lack of robust institutional support from our government, from bodies such as this. Let's stop pretending that alternative energy sources are far in the future and won't stimulate the economy. They can, but only with your help. In order to reach economic prosperity and environmental justice, we must invest in forward-looking projects that seek to integrate current technologies and build upon them. There, you will find jobs, opportunity, a way to a better life for all, a better economy, and a more sustainable environment. We all deserve the right to live with dignity, free from the threat of pollution and environmental devastation. But what raises even more concern is to look at who exactly is primarily affected by these threats. They're overwhelmingly communities of color. Oxnard, seemingly by coincidence, happens to be a community of color. A community represented by the voices of Indigenous, Latinx, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, and Asian folks. Particularly, there are 2,913 Filipino folks who reside here. As a Filipino American, a member of a community that faces the consequences of being brown in America every single day, this project is a direct assault on the safety of my people and all the people of color who call the Central Coast their home. We are deserving of a life of dignity. We are proud of our communities. We are human beings, but we are not your dumping ground. Thank you.
Followed by Michael Kyle.
Good evening, my name is Steve Earhart. I am the training director for the Ventura County Electrical Apprenticeship Program. So we represent IBW workers as well as 80 electrical apprentices. All of our apprentices are residents of Ventura County. And I'm here tonight just to kind of make a few facts about this project. Fact number one is that everybody in this room uses electricity. And probably everybody in this room has some form of electric device in their pocket. And whether you support a power plant or renewable energy or some other form of generating power, it doesn't really matter. We need the power. And nobody in this room is going to be happy when the power gets shut off, when NRG is shut down on this project and is not allowed to build a power plant. So, you know, the renewable energy argument is not a bad one. There are good and bad things about renewable energy. In order to build a renewable energy plant the size of the Puente power plant, 262 megawatts, it'd take about 1,500 acres of land and about $260 million just in the solar panels alone. Solar panels and inverters do not last forever. Solar panels have a life of about 20 years. Inverters have a life of about 10 years. So that's going to be additional cost to whoever the energy company is. So, you know, I just don't think in Ventura County it's reasonable to expect to produce enough energy using renewable solar or wind generation just on the fact that we don't have the space alone. You know, we do keep building more and more houses in the area, and you know, if we want to attract businesses to come to the area, we have to have a reliable power source. And as many of you know, in the morning, if you start in Oxnard, the traffic is scattering outside of the county from the center of it, which is Oxnard and Camarillo. And in the afternoon, traffic is coming back in because the residents in this county don't have anywhere to work within the county. So if we want to attract businesses to keep our people in the county and working, we have to have renewable energy, and we also have to have reliable energy. So it takes a combination of both. The Puente Power Plant is a definite piece that needs to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Michael Kyle, followed by Shane Boston.
Hello, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here. My name is Michael Kyle. I'm a student at UCSB in chemical engineering. I'm also an employee of ASME 3299. We are a union that represents the service workers of our university, the grounds workers, the housekeepers, the cooks, the ones that are constantly under attack by university administration in our current contract fight. A lot of them live in Oxnard. A lot of them can't afford to live in Santa Barbara. And when they do, the housing is honestly quite awful. My father worked at UPS, had 2 full-time jobs, and was a Teamster steward. He died when I was in high school because he was too busy working to be able to take care of his health. He wasn't able to even bother with how much pain he was in until the cancer was at stage 4. And I'm here as not just an activist for environmentalism, but also as a labor activist. I understand the plight of those behind me in the hard hats who need that job. I spoke to one earlier who understood the health risks, he understood the environmental concerns, but what he said is that a lot of us would rather have our child grow up with asthma than to not be able to feed them. And the fact that we have to be here fighting against each other is sickening. The fact that we have to be here fighting against each other while some fat cats line their pockets for these plants, because it's not the people behind me, the laborers, who are going to get the benefits of this plant. They're going to have a temporary job for a little bit longer. But we can be here to organize further, I guess if we have to, for solar panels, wind turbines, anything we can get. We're here not just as environmental activists again, but as labor activists. And we will be fighting for the future. We will be organizing together once the time comes. We live in a country where unionship has dropped to 30% in the public sector, and 8% in the private sector. And we will rise up again and go back to perhaps a little more radical days that unions used to be. But that you all can sit here and try to think about a few tax dollars that might cost some fat cats more on whether they have a plant that's based off of fossil fuels or one that's based off of green energy versus the livelihoods of some of the women you heard here speak who lost large portions of their childhood because of the quality of the air. And if you'll subject even more people to that, then shame on all of you. If you are really that much into a power plant, build it in Montecito. Thank you.
Good evening, Energy Commission. Thank you for being here. My name is Shane Boston. I am the business manager of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, UA Local 484 in Ventura County. I represent 350 plus highly skilled craftsmen and women, along with 60 plus apprentices in the piping industry. I'm here to speak in support of this project. I'm a 52-year resident of Ventura County. I've lived in Oxnard, Camarillo, and in Ventura, currently in Ventura. I'm a third-generation member of my local union and a fifth-generation Ventura County resident. I have family and friends all over Ventura County, many of which live on the west side of Oxnard, close to the beach. And I myself would never support any project that I thought would be detrimental to the health and safety of those in our community. As most of us know, the state of California has the most stringent laws in the nation when it comes to air quality. Just over the past year or so, work in our area has just started picking up for us. We've been slowly coming out of a recession that started back in 2008. At one point, between 2008 and 2010, we had close to 40% unemployment in our local union. Currently, we have 15 to 20%. Having said that, many of my members are still having to commute outside Ventura County to Los Angeles or up to Santa Barbara or even out of state. I currently have a dozen or so members working in Reno, Nevada. They've been up there for the last 6 months. We've got one member here that just came back and went to work today at Ventura County Medical Center. To me, this project's a no-brainer. We built a clean burning powerhouse, most of which will dwarf what is already there. We removed the old dinosaurs from both Mandalay and Ormond Beach, restore the wetlands. Like everybody said, we all need electricity. Gotta keep the lights on. Just about everyone I know has a TV, computer, smartphone, as well as all their appliances at home, washer, dryer, oven, stove, etc. Where will we get the power when these two dinosaurs are decommissioned in the next few years? Again, this project is crucial to my local. This project will be built under a project labor agreement, which will ensure local hire for our highly skilled journeymen, women, and apprentices. These are high-paying jobs that include health insurance for them and their families, vacation pay, and a couple pensions on top of that. Local hire keeps tax dollars in our community. This also means that some of them won't have to commute miles and miles to get to work every day and work in their own backyard finally. This project will bring close to 100,000 man-hours just to my local alone. That's a temporary project, I guess. In the construction industry, an 18-month construction job is gold. The brothers and sisters of Local 484 and the United Association of Plumbers, Pipefitters, Welders, and Apprentices stand in solidarity in full support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian True, followed by Rosaline Aka.
Good evening. My name is Brian True. I'm a member with Local 952 here in Ventura. It's the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I'm here this evening just to lend my support behind the NRG generating station project. I'll keep it brief. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Rosaline Aka, followed by Alejandro Ariano.
Hello, good evening. My name is Rosaline Aka, I'm a student at UCSB and also here for a cause. The California Independent System Operator study concluded there are 3 viable alternatives to the Punta Power Plant, which can be brought online in as soon as 8 months, that will provide reliable energy and storage through preferred resources. This study confirmed with environmental justice communities have said all along, the Punta Power Plant is unnecessary and costly, and there are renewable energy alternatives such as solar power and battery storage to meet the region's needs at a lower cost. This could also provide more good, clean energy jobs instead of the few temporary, dirty energy jobs that the Punta Power Plant offers. There are other affordable power options that don't rely on sacrificing the health of the people of Oxnard or the planet. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Alejandro Ariano, followed by Jason Elder.
Hi, thank you for pronouncing my name right for once. But I'm here advocating against the Puente project, and the reason why is it's not because I am Latino and because I think that we are an oppressed group, and perhaps there is some truth to those inequalities, but because I don't think that the long-term economics makes sense. Well, the price of oil, according to some analysts, is predicted to go up by 2030 by up to 50%. With oil hovering around $50 a barrel and natural gas being an associated product of oil, those costs can also be inferred to go up by at least 50% as the consumption of gas and oil products continues to nosedive, as the introduction of electric vehicles and other electric products continues to be further implemented and further adopted by our economy. I think looking at a Puente project, I think is short-sighted. I think we're spending tens of millions of dollars on a short-term project when we can be looking at a project that is more long-term and that can provide those energy needs longer-term and not dependent on a finite resource. if we look into the production of those finite resources, the majority of those resources, I believe it's about 40% of natural gas is owned by our national security enemies. Russia has about 20% of the production. OPEC has about 20% of the production. Yeah, the US also produces 20% of that. But as we look back in 1970s, there was an energy embargo. I think that relying on a finite resource doesn't make sense for our national security. I think focusing on something that is more localized and perhaps not as centralized an energy grid makes more sense in our long term. And that's why I'm against the Puente project and for a renewable energy solution. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Jason Elder, followed by Tim Knapp. I don't know how to say your last name, Tim. I'm sorry. Knapziger, I think. Do we have Jason Elder? Okay, how about Tim? Nafziger. Okay.
Hi, my name is Tim Knapziger, and I'm here both with Showing Up for Racial Justice, Ventura County, and I'm also the Executive Director of the Ojai Valley Green Coalition. And as I've been listening this evening, I think that there's been a strong case, a lot of questions raised about why are we putting a fossil fuel plant on a vulnerable coast, and people have spoke to the risk that brings with it. I'd like to just focus on something I haven't heard as many people who are in favor of this plant speak to, and that is the pattern of sacrifice zones and exclusion zones in this county. I live in the Ojai Valley, a place that doesn't have any fossil fuel power plants, and that's because of a long time opposition and frankly because of the power and privilege of many people who live in the valley. And so as we look at this project and ask why is this being built, again in Oxnard, I think we have to talk about environmental racism. After Charlottesville, fortunately racism and white supremacy are back as part of the national conversation again, but we often don't talk about the ways those patterns play out by choices that corporations are making. And I've heard that made again and again this evening. I think it's a crucial one for both people of color and white people to speak up and say, this matters. So no power plant, fossil fuel power plant in Oxnard, and yes to green energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine Brown, followed by Ethan Bjork.
I'm not feeling real great. Is it possible for me to do my testimony seated?
Sure, but you need to be near a microphone so that we can hear you. So, can we get one of the microphones here at the table turned on so that she can speak and we can hear her, please? I can't see if my mic guys can see me, but can you come up to the table right there, please? And then give us just a second to make sure that mic is on. Can you pull it close to you and speak into it? Okay. Hold on. Can you all please turn on the mic here at the table? Can you see where Ms. Brown is sitting? She's right here in the middle. Okay, try again.
Hello.
Great.
Thanks for allowing me to sit for my testimony, and thanks for sitting through all the testimonies. Thanks for allowing us to speak. My name is Christine Brown. I'm a resident of Camarillo, and I'm a member of Showing Up for Racial Justice, Ventura County. I'm not saying anything new. I'm just one of the many folks here that's opposed to environmental racism. Many Oxnard residents, as you well know, have told you 1,000 times over, they don't want a dirty energy eyesore on their beach. They're done being the bearer of environmental burdens for the county. They're done with being sick. They're done with seeing the planet made sick. Many people from all over the county and state who are concerned about climate change and environmental justice have pleaded with you not to build a fossil fuel plant in Oxnard. Those people are done with being told we must go backwards in order to avoid blackouts. I heard something that someone said that made me take pause, and it was scaring people with the idea of abandoning power plants if Puente doesn't get built. It seemed cruel. If that's the threat that NRG allows to permeate the rumor that they have not sought to quash, well, that says something. If you don't do NRG's bidding, we'll treat your coast like a trash can. I hear many residents telling you they are interested in green alternatives. The technology exists, it's in use, and the costs are dropping all the time. That really needs to be the way forward, especially if SB 100 passes. Please do not approve the Puente Power Project. Please consider approving a green energy alternative so these folks here in the hard hats can work in the county. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you feel better. I have Ethan York next. And he would be followed by Margarita Moran. Do I have Ethan? Okay, Margarita Moran. Oh, okay, great. And Margarita will be followed by Celine Washington. And as she's making her way up, again, I'll just note, if you'd like to make a comment, you fill out a blue card. They're over there. Our public advisor is waving at you as she brings me more cards. That's how we know that you'd like to make a public comment. Please go ahead.
All right. Hello, my name is Margarita, and I come from UCSB today, but I have lived in Oxnard since I was 4 years old. And it's shocking to me that I never realized that Oxnard is a victim to environmental racism until very recently. And I think that this information is withheld from my community because they are uneducated and unaware, and some of us, I believe it's around 30% of us, live in linguistic isolation. So we don't understand what is going on. And so I think it's up to you who have a duty here to serve justice for the city of Oxnard, because we are a victim. Apart from that, we are already suffering from 3 power plants, a Superfund site, and pesticides in our fields. Another point is that California has a goal to reach renewable energy by 2030, 50%. If we built this power plant, we're going to be setting back in a lot of forms. We need to start implementing renewable energy so that we have time to save ourselves. I believe that we should be prepared rather than reactive to when disasters do happen, because climate change is real. And so Oxnard should be taken as a leader to renewable energy. We need to show the people that renewable energy is our future, and we need to make investment in our future. Apart from that, I do understand that we're looking for jobs, but in the long run, renewable energy is going to create a lot of jobs for us. We just need to trust and not be afraid that it won't be dependable, because the technologies are rising and the prices are going down. And I understand the upfront cost seems large, but in comparison to the long-term costs of oil and keeping power plants running will be much cheaper than, the renewable energy will be much cheaper than the oil. So if you're really thinking about it, if we want to all come together and help our planet become a better place, renewable energy is the way to go. And Oxnard does deserve justice. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll have Celine Washington. And after Celine, I still have about 40 or so cards in my pile. We're going to need to give our court reporter and our translators a quick break. So we'll hear from Celine, and then we'll do a quick break, and I'll let you know who's coming up right after break. Please go ahead.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Celine. I'm another one of the Yanks from Santa Barbara. I go to school there at the UC, as do my friends. We drove all the way down here in the middle of final season because we have a major complaint. Why does Oxnard get all the good stuff? Y'all have 3 power plants and a Superfund site? Why doesn't Santa Barbara get that? And another thing, we do some stuff well, but not like Oxnard. These guys have the highest rates of asthma. They got some of the poorest people in the state, and on top of that, around a third of y'all speak perfect Spanish. So good they don't even bother speaking English. I mean, what do we have in Santa Barbara? Rich white people? It's ridiculous. I can't speak for Oxnard, but I can say that us Santa Barbara's can smell energy as bullshit all the way up the Central Coast. That is why so many of us are here. This community has been targeted. This is one of the most vulnerable communities in the state, and it is disgusting that we in Santa Barbara consume and thrive off energy we don't make, while Oxnard struggles to breathe. This is bullying. It's abuse. I simply cannot fathom the logic of building a new power plant here. We're on a coast that is known for flooding. Ormond Beach is the most important wetlands restoration opportunity in all of Southern California. A new power plant in 2017, California is making incredible strides towards sustainable energy in the near future. All I see here is the familiarity and ease of an abusive relationship. Today must be an intervention. Clean energy now. Thank you.
Okay, so it is about 7:40. We're going to take a 10-minute break until 7:50. Please be back right on time. We will start with Ron Whitehurst, and he will be followed by James Brunei.